stalls, among them Alysheba, who 2 weeks ago today, his raw courage gave Jack Van Berg what was surely the thrill of a lifetime in the Derby.
I don't think that words can express the feeling of winning the Kentucky Derby. They got derbies all over the world and all over the United States, but there's only one Kentucky Derby.
After 35 years of training, the elusive smell of roses was especially sweet for Jack Van Berg. He came out of Columbus, Nebraska to saddle more winners than any other trainer in the history of the sport, nearly 5,000, mainly with claimers. He received racing's highest honor, the Eclipse Award, but the one that meant the most was joining his father Marion in racing's Hall of Fame.
I just think that I was one of the most fortunate people in the country to have the chance to come up under my father. He was a genius with horses. He was a gentleman along with it. He was a perfectionist. When he sent you to do something, he didn't want any excuses, no shortcuts or anything. You had to do it to his perfection. And at the time when I was a kid, I thought how bad he was, how mean he was. But every day of my life, I thank the Lord that I got to come up under him. And I'd have to say that that's why I work like I do today.
And work he does. Home is in the bluegrass of Kentucky, but it might as well be on an airplane. He's on one daily, supervising his racing operations in 6 states. But the cost is greater than the $67,000 he spent last year on airfare.
I've always said that I was a good provider, but a poor family man, a poor father, because I'm not home. I'm busy. I love to work. I'm a workaholic.
And it's that tireless spirit that keeps driving Jack Van Berg, leading him west to search for even taller mountains to climb. And he's found them. Here in Summit Valley, an hour and a half from downtown Los Angeles, he's building a massive breeding and training complex. With nearly 10,000 acres to work with, Jack and his partners have enormous plans. A complete residential community will soon be a part of this valley, while the training center is already in operation, boasting a 4.5-mile gallop along a riverbed. But nothing can compare with training a horse like Alysheba. Though he captured the Preakness with Gate Dancer 3 years ago, winning the Roses was more than an emotional victory for Jack Van Berg. It was a personal vindication.
I've always been labeled as a claiming trainer. And, that label has hung with me all my life. And that's all we did was train claiming horses. I won a lot of stake races. But until you get in those big races, the Kentucky Derby and those kind of races, there nobody gives you any credit. And it's a label that they've stuck on me. It stayed with me. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's a lot harder to win with claiming horses and old horses than it is good horses. And to me, good horses make good trainers. You get a horse, like I told you after this horse won, I know that he's a top horse because he overcome my bad mistakes in my training. So he's made a hero out of me.
Derby sits for good luck. But one thing, Jack, you haven't been able to duplicate this week is Alysheba's final blowout. He went much slower than you expected. What happened?
Well, Charlsie, we're shortening up this race. We're going a 16th of a mile shorter. You know, the Kentucky Derby is a grueling race for any 3-year-old, a mile and a quarter that early in the year. So you have to bear down on a horse pretty hard to get him fit enough to go. He had his bluegrass race 9 days in front off of just 2 races since last December that was very easy races for him that he really, he had an entrapped epiglottis. He didn't run that much. So he run big in the bluegrass. He was fit. He run bigger in the Derby. Got his there. And to me, the thing to do to keep him this next 2 weeks is just to keep him sound and keep him healthy and keep him feeling good. I figured he'd go in 48 on the track. The track is somewhat slower than it's been in previous years. I cautioned Steve a little too much to not go too fast. If I'd have went in 46, I can't put that back in him. And I know that he's fit enough, so I know that all the sports writers and everybody have been wondering because he worked slow that something was wrong. But this horse is just as healthy as he's ever been. He's sound. He's perfect. If he's not run a good race, it's because something's taken out the inside of him that, is not visible from the outside because he looks the part. I think he's done better up here than he's done at any time. I blowed him out this morning just like I did at Derby morning. He went 3/16 a mile, and he was full of himself and stretched out. And Joe, my assistant trainer, and he gets on him all the time. He said, Jack, this horse is just as good or better than he's ever been.
Well, all is left now but the proof. Lots of luck to you, Jack Van Berg.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks for being with us. That's about the end of the action here in the stable area. The horses are headed over to the infield saddling area, and Jim McKay is close by.
The owners of Alysheba, the Derby winner, are a fine family from